Hans Wormhat. In this video, I want to talk about ways that I know that Christianity, or following Jesus Christ is probably the best way to say it, how I know that that's the correct path. When I woke up to flat earth, I woke up to transvestigation, I knew God was real. I didn't jump to Islam, I didn't jump to Buddhism, I didn't start believing in Odin or anything like that. I knew that, okay, I need to follow Jesus now. That was just, I knew that that's what I had to do. And so this video is just going to share some, not, maybe not ideas that I had at the time, because for me personally, it was kind of just a known thing. I just always knew that if I was agnostic, and I knew if I ever came to the conclusion, which I eventually did, that God was real, I knew that I would be Christian, but at the same time, I knew I wasn't. It's not like if I started believing God was real, I was going to start going to a church every Sunday. And I still knew that that kind of stuff was phony. And I knew that there were a bunch of people out there that claim to be Christian, but they're a bunch of phonies. I knew that I wasn't going to like become like that all of a sudden. However, I knew that it still was the right answer. All of those phonies, that didn't wreck Jesus for me or anything. I still knew that Jesus was the right answer. So I just want to read this. It's kind of an uplifting story. This is one of the big reasons why I know Jesus is real, just testimony. I hear so much testimony about Jesus, and in ways that affect me. And I can just say that for other things doesn't really exist. I don't really hear coming to Buddha stories. People who are not born into, just to do another religion, people who aren't born into like Islam, people who have like a mid life conversion to Islam, they're usually doing it for attention and like crazy people, and it doesn't seem positive in the same way that I read stories about Jesus. Usually you read stories about people whose lives are a wreck and they find Jesus and totally turns their lives around. I mean, even that expression, finding Jesus, is an expression. Have you ever heard somebody say finding Muhammad, finding Buddha? Oh, I just had to find Buddha. Maybe very fringe, but those people are so phony, in my opinion. Like, anyways, my whole life I've been surrounded by Blue Lodge or New Ageism things, and they're not happy. Well, here, I mean, not that people that follow Jesus are necessarily happy all the time, like fake plastic smiles all the time. There's a sadness, long suffering. When I was alone, an elderly woman who was half blind asked me if I liked banana pudding. I told her yes, and next, when she saw me, she smiled and said, "This is for you." She had given me a large Pyrex bowl full of banana pudding. Then after that, every once in a while, she would say, "This is for you." Then one day, she moved to a nursing home in another state, and I never saw her again. She always talked about God and salvation. I will never forget her. Thank you for sharing your recipe. I just thought this was really beautiful, a really, really nice short story. I love just short stories like this where you can get so much impact from something so little. At least for me personally. Maybe some people read this and it doesn't affect them. The fact that she was half blind, and just this kindness, this act of kindness. How often does stuff like this happen? Not very often these days. And the fact that what he remembers about her is that she was always talking about God and salvation. So I really liked this. No, I don't know anybody. I've never really read stories about a similar thing. Oh, this person always baked me a cake, and then they were always talking about Buddha or whatever. Oh, they were always talking about Odin. Oh, my elderly neighbor, she who baked me cookies all the time, she couldn't stop talking to me about Wicca. Never heard things like that. But just this pure kindness and loving story comes to Jesus, talking about salvation, God and salvation. So I'm guessing she talked about Jesus a lot. Okay, that's just, I wanted to start with something nice and get into kind of a darker idea, which is relevant to my case too. For a lot of people, waking up to God is actually realizing that Satan is real. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of the same idea. When you realize that Satan is real, it's not like, oh, okay, so Buddhism is the correct religion. What? When you realize Satan is real, it's not like, oh, Zeus and Aphrodite. And when you realize Satan is real, the obvious answer is, oh, that's because the Bible's true. That's because all of this stuff inside the Bible is true. And when you realize how seriously these people are satanic, they really worship Satan, that was just a big, I don't know, kick in the butt for me. Like, how much you need to be the opposite. All of the effort that these people put into being satanic, to subverting the Bible, to blaspheming God, you are supposed to do at least the opposite. And I think that's just where a lot of the lukewarm stuff comes in. They water down Christianity so much and they get people to be so passive, and they subvert everything. All of the pastors are inverts, and they preach about NASA outer space land, talk about dinosaurs. It's really bad. And it because they want to diminish the good power, basically. They don't want people having strong prayers to Jesus. They don't want people having strong inner, just you and Jesus relationships. They want to get in between that, wedge themselves, and that's the whole church community phony. They're really Satanists. The Probably the bigger people at every church. I mean, there's like a social hierarchy at every church. I'm sure, and it's not supposed to be like that. We're all on the same level. Anyways, what's going on here? Satanists are real. Pedophiles are real. This is Gavin Newsom, the 40th governor of California. This is on their Twitter page. Anybody can go look this up for themselves now. I took this photo yesterday, so I doubt that it's been changed by then. Their top banner, look at the symbol hidden in the finger right here. That's a pedophile symbol. And of course, we got the Baphomet. It looks like there's an orange shirt over here. Whatever. I mean, masculine women, feminine men. Baphomet sign. Yeah, but I mean, look at that. That's photo manipulated to have that spiral. Clearly, somebody's index finger does not curl around like that. And that's the pedophile. The pedophile spiral. I mean, here's Justin Trudeau's foundation. 100% match, basically. These were just some posts somebody made off a vote. Baphomet parents make their children go through sodomy rituals to get them illuminated. It's true. Here was just my response. True, happened to me. They drug the children when they're very young. The drugs and the trauma, I guess, leave you with fragmented memories. Doesn't help that satanic families play psyops on their family and gaslight, gang up. But yeah, something happens and some of us never become initiated. If I was in the cult, I'd be wearing dresses today. These people are infested with demons. And yeah, they are Satanists. So if there's all these people out there that are seriously satanic, it's because Satan is real. And that, of course, means that the flip side, God is real, Jesus is real. They willingly pick the dark side. It's not anything that I'll ever understand or ever even want to try to understand. But yeah, these people, they know God is real, but they're willingly choosing the other side. When puberty hits you, this was just funny. I just included this. Inverts never go through the right puberty. FTM get juiced on T. MTF start abusing estrogen. MTF also get boob implants and become promiscuous. They become sexually active at like 14, and it's encouraged by the parents. This is the time when they get the most sodomy, and the most training, they change from being an adorable little child to a bitter, hormoned out demon. Yeah, the reason that I picked this is just it's sad. They abuse, but they were also abused. Almost all of these, if you're born in a Baphomet family, yeah, and so many people are, like an incredible, it's a big club. It's not a small club. It's a big club, and it's most people. They just keep hush about it, and maybe their wife doesn't even know about it, but then they start having free Martin children, and they tell their children, and I mean it's a big club. It's really big, and they're abused, but then they go on and they keep having children, and they perpetuate the cycle. This is my comment. My Rex bro turned from a happy little child into a dark, sad, bitter, angry person pretty much overnight around 5th grade age. Yeah, the initiation comes in stages, and some of them don't take it so well, and they just overnight they'll change, and it's very sad, but they stay a part of the system. It's Stockholm syndrome. The Baphomet system abuses them just as bad, and I mean they're kind of worse off too because they got born flipped because of this system, and I don't know, it's like they take it out on naturals. It's not our fault. It's the system's fault. Get mad at your own system. Don't get mad at us. So that little section was a little depressing, but it's getting into the idea of, yeah, the darkness, the real truth of the darkness of this place and all the satanic Baphomet worship. It proves God is real. Okay, here's another one, an interesting idea. You know how people say stuff, Jesus take the wheel? Have you ever heard somebody ask Odin to take the wheel? On the helicopter, there's this thing called the Jesus nut. It's because people know that Jesus is real. It's not called the Muhammad nut. It's not called the Buddha nut, because that's not going to help you at all. They know. People know that Jesus is the truth and that Jesus is the way to be saved. That's why that's the name that this gets, the Jesus nut. Deathbed conversions. This is a comment that I think somebody left me sometime on a religious video. They brought up how the fact that in old age everybody goes to Christianity is proof. And yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. You know, you've lived your entire life, you have all this wisdom of your entire lifetime, and you decide to turn your back on everything that you did in your life, and what's the most important to you? Jesus, right at the end. And now, I'm not going to make a statement about whether or not these people get saved, because that's not my choice. Jesus knows people's hearts, so I think it's just going to come down to, I mean, Jesus is going to know. That's just the way that I feel about that. I don't personally believe that you can be a disgusting demon your whole life, and then on your deathbed, oh, Jesus saved me, and then it's going to work out. But again, I'm not the judge. What this is, when have you ever heard of deathbed conversions to being a Hindu? When have you ever heard of a deathbed conversion to being a Buddhist? And I guess you might make the argument of, well, you don't like they see. I don't even know, because don't those religions would offer something, right? If you do a deathbed Buddhist conversion, maybe you think you're going to get reincarnated into something cooler. Um, just for me personally, I've never heard of that stuff, and that's an obvious answer for me where those aren't the correct answer. Nobody is on their deathbed gonna become a Wiccan. Nobody on their deathbed is gonna decide to start following some pagan thing. They're gonna go to Christianity. And most of them in this list, so the way that the beginning of this Wikipedia article, they try to make it seem like it's adopting any religious faith, but I've never heard of anything other than Christianity. I mean, most of them in the list were Catholicism, so organized Christianity. And that's probably how it would be today. Most deathbed conversions are probably some, Free Martin pastor, Freemason, doing the conversion. But back then it was like the Catholic Church. So is it going to save these people? I don't know. It's not my decision, and not really the point of this. The point is, when these people are dying, they go to Jesus. This was Oscar Wilde wrote this on her deathbed, I guess, or like, near death. Ah, happy they whose hearts can break and peace of pardon win. How else may man make straight his plan and cleanse his soul from sin? How else but through a broken heart may Lord Christ enter in? So, went to Jesus right in the end. Oscar Wilde. One famous example is Charles Darwin's deathbed conversion, in which it was claimed by Lady Hope that Darwin said, "How I wish I had not expressed my theory of evolution as I have done." He went on to say that he would like her to gather a congregation, since he would like to speak of them, of Christ Jesus and his salvation, being in a state where he was eagerly savoring the heavenly anticipation of bliss. And it went on to say where Darwin's family said, no, that never happened. So, I don't know. I believe it happened. Yeah, I absolutely believe it happened. Regrets, man. When, after you've lived your whole life and doing petty things to get a foot up in life, and then, the world comes crashing down because you're about to die, the truth hits them in the face. Never read stories about people doing this for other religions. It's always about Jesus and about Christianity. Chick screaming for Jesus on the slingshot. When people call out for help, they call out to Jesus. And this is even people that might not even be religious. You hear about this all the time, where people get snapped into following Jesus after something traumatic events. And yeah, it doesn't have to be somebody who is super religious. They're always talking to Jesus. They always have this relationship with Jesus. You can have people that are very, not religious. Maybe they went to church a few times when they were young with their grandma or something, and they'll cry out to Jesus. So, and I guess kind of the flip side of that is the blasphemy aspect. When people blaspheme, they're always blaspheming Jesus. And it's because he is the Messiah. If you're going to blaspheme, why would you blaspheme something fake? Nobody blasphemes Odin. Nobody blasphemes Hindu, lowercase g, gods. People don't blaspheme that stuff because who cares? It's obviously fake. What do people blaspheme? Jesus Christ, all the time. It's really sick, just on TV, how often the name Jesus Christ gets blasphemed. When did that come about? I know that 50 years ago, there's no way that it happened like that 50 years ago on TV. Maybe it did. Maybe I'm getting my dates wrong, but didn't TV used to be really conservative? They didn't even like showing like toilets and stuff. I'm pretty sure that on TV they didn't used to blaspheme Jesus' name. But today, all the time, people blaspheme the name Jesus Christ. There's a reason that that's what they blaspheme, and it's not other stuff. And I guess there's like movies, Jesus Christ Superstar. They don't make movies like that about fake stuff. Do you think that they would make a movie like that about Muhammad? Yeah, right. And maybe I have slides talking about this later, but it's worth pointing out in this section. Anti-religious, when people are very anti-religious, it's not like they're anti all religions. It's almost always they do not like Christianity. And so there you go. That's more proof. And it's because anti-religious is anti-God. If you're anti-religious, you're anti-God. And the people who are anti-God, it's more specific than that. You don't hear them complaining about Odinists. You don't hear them complaining about Buddhists. They complain about Christianity because that's the antithesis to God. If you're going to be anti-God, you're going to be anti-Jesus. You're not going to be anti-Odin. Who cares? Okay, here's another really important point. People say all the time, oh, well, okay, so which religion's right? Yeah, God is real. Which God? Okay, it's not even like that at all. It's not a fair fight. For me, it's really obviously the answer is Christianity. It's very popular. Everybody knows who Jesus is. That's how salvation works. God made it easy for us. God made it really easy for salvation. The obvious answer is the right one. The Bible's true. It's true exactly how it's written. You're just surrounded by wolves trying to teach you that you live on a spinning ball. But it's been correct the whole time. God gave us his word, and salvation is open to everybody, and it's easy. Salvation was made easy through Jesus Christ, and everybody knows who Jesus is. And the popularity is really, it's more evidence. God is not going to make salvation something really obscure and difficult. God is going to make something for salvation which is very accessible and known. God is going to make his son known, and that's why everybody knows who Jesus is. And one, this is basically the last section, and it's something that I already briefly talked about. Just Satanists are real. Satanists are real, and they're very serious about what they do. So you need to be the opposite. And the opposite of being a phony Christian is being a true one, being a true Christ follower, not just being this phony plastic Christian. Oh, I wear a cross. I tell people I'm Christian, but I throw gang signs, satanic gang signs, tell you that they're a man. Taylor Swift telling that it's a man wearing man clothes. And it's not just Hollywood. It doesn't stop there. Churches all over earth filled with these people, filled with people who are really satanic, but they go to church. I don't know, and I don't even want to know. You know, you're not really supposed to dive into the very subtleties of these people's lives, I don't think. I also don't think that it's good to sit here and dive really deep into occultism or researching alchemy and stuff like that. I think you're just supposed to bring it to the light, point it out, but not obsess over the details. I I can't wrap my mind around all the phonies around you in your day-to-day life, but it's just the truth. It's just the way that it is. You're surrounded by a bunch of people that they claim to be Christian, but at the same time they throw gang signs and they're secret keepers. So maybe some of them think that they can follow Jesus and be a secret keeper and throw gang signs, or maybe all of them really are just pure satanic. I don't know. I thought this was really interesting. Zena LeVay is spitting image of Taylor Swift. Well, I guess this is one just small thing. I just always bring this up because it is something that I see. Calling out to Jesus' name to cure people of demons. All the stories of people being healed by Jesus. I never hear of people casting out demons in the name of Buddha. I never hear about people casting out demons in the name of any Hindu god. I mean, the Hindu lowercase g gods just look like demons, and that should be indication enough. Calling out to Jesus cures people of sleep paralysis. Jesus can heal you. John chapter 14, verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. I think that this really should be the John 3:16. Everybody, all the fake plastic Christians are always talking all the time about John 3:16, John 3:16. Because it, taken out of context, it sells you a phony path to salvation. John 3:16, if you take it completely out of context, it's people interpret that as, oh, all I have to do is believe in Jesus and I'm saved forever. But that's not the case at all. Demons believe that Jesus is the Messiah. They know. Satan knows that Jesus is the Messiah. Satan's not saved. So for me, like, this is my John 3:16. John 14:6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If you're going to have a relationship with God, you have to go through Jesus Christ, and there's no other way. I'll just end with this. Richard Dawkins, very popular, atheist. It's really gross. Places like Reddit, Orange 33 Reddit, atheism is pushed to the front page all the time. They're not atheists. They're anti-Christian. They're not atheists. They're anti-God. And, if you look at their usernames, they often have 666, Baphomet stuff, whatever, but they're inverted. Their skeletons are inverted. Transvestigation, waking up to transvestigation really can just blow the doors off everything for you. And I think it's just really hard for people to admit how close to home transvestigation is going to hit. But if you can wake up to it, you can wake up to Jesus. Look at how they're sitting. And they do hand signs. It's a triangle, pyramid. They're witches and warlocks. They do this hand so frequently. It's like they're holding a magic wand. Rosy red cheeks are female. They lose their eyelashes from hormone abuse. They look demonic because they are demonic. Satan is real. Jesus Christ is the truth. God bless everyone.